California, here I come, right back where I started from, where bowers of flowers bloom in the sun. Each morning at dawning, birdies sing and everything.
Our first stop on this trip was the city of San Luis Obispo, and the first stop in San Luis Obispo was the Bubblegum Alley. And what is a Bubblegum Alley, you ask? It's just what it sounds like, an alley covered in chewed bubblegum. Hey, I've got an idea. You want some? You sure? Suit yourself. Still got some flavor to it. After that, we headed over to the Madonna Inn to get some dinner and check into our room. The Madonna Inn is known for its 110 rooms, each with a unique theme to it. And the utmost, ultimate of all the rooms is the Madonna Suite. I've heard this over-the-top, extravagant room described as looking like something Liberace threw up in. But you know, I don't care. One day I'm going to stay in it. You probably noticed the preponderance of pink in the room. That seems to be the theme at the Madonna Inn. Pink napkins, pink sugar, even pink street lamps. In fact, the slice of cake we ordered to celebrate our anniversary was pink. Luckily we shared this slice because it was big enough to feed 3 people. And from looking at behind the shelf, it's a very popular cake to order. Also, the grounds of the Madonna Inn are nicely displayed. There's fountains, places to pose for pictures like Marion is doing here, and you've heard of the horse of a different color? Well, here's a cow of a different color. Now it's off to our room. We stayed the night at the room titled Misty Rock. I liked it because the walls are all made out of boulders. There's even a rock wall shower that you can set up so that the water comes over the rocks like a waterfall. It has been a long day, so we hit the hay early and prepared for the next morning. We drove over to the city of Monterey and from there headed straight over to Cannery Row. It was lunchtime, so we walked over to the El Torito restaurant to get a bite to eat. Here's the view we had from our window seat. I see some people kayaking out on the bay. I rented a kayak one time and had a great time paddling out there. Here's a great view of Cannery Row from just outside the El Torito restaurant. After that, we just kind of walked around Cannery Row, taking in the sights. Here's a bust of acclaimed American novelist John Steinbeck, whose novel, Cannery Row, was set in the Great Depression and was published in 1945. Always time for some Ghirardelli ice cream, no matter how full you are. This life-size shark greets customers at the entrance to the Sharky's shirt store. Here's a t-shirt on display there in the store. I sure could have used this when I was still working. I don't know, let me check my watch. By golly, it is. After that, we drove next door to the city of Pacific Grove to see the famous Butterfly House. This house is amazing. Hundreds upon hundreds of fake butterflies decorate this home. The butterflies are everywhere. On the house, the yard, even butterflies on butterflies. A short distance from the Butterfly House is this unusual sculpture, Bad Day on the SS Normandy. A large dead tree stump was used to make this carving of a giant octopus attacking an ocean liner. Just a short distance away, we stopped off to see the Point Pinos Lighthouse. Built in 1855, the Point Pinos Lighthouse is the oldest continuously operating lighthouse on the west coast of the United States. For a small fee, you can take a tour of the building, but we just settled for walking around the grounds. Let me tell you, the wind was really blowing there at the lighthouse. I was really amazed at how fast the fog was blowing in. By then, the shadows were starting to get long, so we headed over to where we were going to stay in Pacific Grove, the Borg's Motel, to check in. This is a look of the view that we had from our motel room at the Borg's Motel. Besides the great view, something else the motel had going for it was the great walking path alongside the ocean that went on for miles. Here's looking in the opposite direction. The pink flowers added color to the scenery. We were either early or late that season. We had been there before when the flowers covered the ground. There's the Borg Motel again. And that's looking down towards Lover's Point. A statue of a butterfly at Lover's Point to honor the monarch butterflies that migrate through here every year. Here's a closer view of Lover's Point. It was getting to be dinner time, so we drove into Monterey to get some good food. After that, we went back to the motel to rest up for the next day. The next morning, found ourselves at the old Monterey Cafe for breakfast. I love their food there, and I especially like looking at all the pictures and things on the walls. Here's a video of us heading down the road to our next destination. And that would be the city of Carmel by the sea. We stopped in Carmel to see some of what are called the fairy tale houses. Old houses that look like they belong in a storybook. Here's one called the Gretel House, built in 1925. There's also the Hansel House, making that the Hansel and Gretel houses. This one has its own sign, the Storybook Cottage. It was built in 1926. People live in these houses, so you can look at them, but please don't disturb the residents. Here's another house with its own sign, the Fables House, built in 1928. If you go to downtown Carmel, you'll find the Tuck Box. It's a restaurant that was built in 1927. We've eaten there before and they have some delicious scones. Dig that crazy door. After that, we drove down Ocean Avenue to the Carmel entrance to 17 Mile Drive. We won't be going on the whole drive, just the most scenic part. The first stop on this drive was the ghost trees at Pescadero Point. The area gets its name from the white, gnarly local cypress trees, which are supposed to resemble ghosts or witches. Supposedly, the image of a lady in lace has often been spotted on a dark, foggy night in the area, upsetting motorists who are said to have seen her walking down the center of the road. The next stop on the 17-mile drive was to see the famous Lone Cypress. The Lone Cypress is a Monterey cypress that stands on top of a granite headland overlooking Carmel Bay. Here's a shot of the rocky coastline to the right of the tree. The Lone Cypress has been called one of the most photographed trees in North America. Here's a shot from the car as we're driving to our next destination on the 17-mile drive. Even without the sun shining, the scenery is beautiful. In fact, I think that the fog adds a bit of something to it. It's said that you can drive the 17-mile drive in about 20 minutes. But with scenery like this, why rush it? If you really want to experience the drive and stop at all the pullouts, you better allow at least 2 hours. One of the spots we stopped at was Point Joe. Here's a tree that's been bent and shaped by the constant wind. And here's a tree that's been standing guard by itself alongside the seashore. There's also part of a golf course here. Let's see, you tee up there, your ball travels over these rocks, the ocean waves, way over to here on the green in one shot. Not even in my dreams. After a quick lunch, we headed over to Silmar State Park. The park is located right along the coast and comes with fantastic views. All you have to do is just drive and pull out where the vista points are. I call it the poor man's 17-mile drive. And you know what? The best part of it is, it's all free. Boom goes the dynamite. I happened across this plaque in Silmar State Park just by accident. It marks the area where famed music artist John Denver went down in his own experimental ultralight plane, fatally crashing into the ocean on October 12, 1997. After that, we took a drive south on Highway 1. You couldn't go very far because of a rock slide, but we just wanted to go about 8.5 miles south of Carmel, which was about as far as you could go, to see Garrapata State Park. We pulled off on the side of the road several times to admire the rocky coast at Garrapata State Park. Pretty soon, I found a parking spot with a trail that I could take down closer to the coast. One thing, don't wander off the trail. The area was thick with poison ivy. I took a picture of those bad boys here. Watch for the 3 leaves and the waxy look to them. What's that old saying? Leaves are 3, leave them the be. Trust me, I've tangled with this before. It's not funny. I itched so bad all I could think of was and trust me, you look like a clown wearing all this calamine lotion on you. All this talk about the poison ivy has just sent my blood pressure through the ceiling. Here, maybe this will calm me down. Another view at Garrapata State Park. Well, that's it for this video. The rest of the trip takes place in San Francisco and will be coming out in the next video.